Hello, one and all. I am very honored to open this political security conference of the IPS in IDC Herzliya, headed by and initiated by Major General in Reserves Amos Gilad. Congratulations and thank you to all the participants from across the globe. Thank you all. The state of Israel is currently in a systematic crisis. We have distrust in all the government agencies, the normative system, from the police force to the attorney's office, the Supreme Court, many other judges, are all being attacked indiscriminately. We are in a situation where there is delegitimization publicly, broadly and systematically of the entire government system. The regime is in shambles. The public no longer trusts the Israeli government because of the way they have addressed the coronavirus crisis. The messages are confused, they contradict one another, there is no clear strategy or policy, and certainly this campaign cannot happen with 36 ministers all attacking each other. A government that is not united, where there are fights and feuds, at a time when the public is waiting for a completely different approach. In such a situation, in such a state of affairs, when there is great distress among many of the sectors in the public, there is a sense, there is a kind of feeling that only one way creates achievements, and that is being aggressive, protesting, being violent verbally, finding an enemy that you can unite against, because it is clear to many circles within the public that they will not be able to achieve anything unless they do so. Many people are really very poor. People who had had a certain socioeconomic status currently are losing hope about their future. And mostly, they feel like nobody cares. At this point, this is very dangerous. We're seeing indications of danger. We see mayors, politicians, and many others saying quite clearly that they will not be adhering to the instructions of the government. We are in a situation where there is distrust, there is disobedience, and we are fast approaching a situation where there is anti-regime activity taking place. But that is not where the story ends. The impact of this approach goes far beyond the regime and its impact, and also moves on to businesses, companies, and other elements. People are feeling lonely. People feel they have no chance, and they display distrust in organizations that they were previously happy to work for, organizations that had previously had their trust. They feel that there is no other way to survive but to group themselves, organize themselves, and create havoc. In October, 20 years ago, the second Intifada took place in Israel. At that time, there were many attacks, 1,100 people were killed, and today we are reaching those numbers in terms of the pandemic deaths, the coronavirus pandemic and the deaths associated with it. At that time, we were in fear. That fear crossed all boundaries in Israeli society. We had buses blowing up. We had shopping centers being attacked. Restaurants, people went out to restaurants and suicide bombers killed those sitting in them. We remember the Dolphinarium affair. 21 children who were celebrating the end of school were killed. And of course, the Park Hotel in Netanya on Passover and Seder night, when 30 people were killed just before the holiday began, just before Seder night began, losing their lives to a suicide bomber. There was great embarrassment, there was great confusion, but at least there was leadership and there was a result. The outcome was a campaign that we did not know whether it would actually be able to stop things, but defensive shield happened, and Jenin and Nablus were being attacked by the IDF in order to counter the terrorism and to lead to local solutions. This is being said not because times are similar. Of course, there are many differences, but the main intention is to indicate, to point at what is required by analogy, what we need to happen today. We need leadership. Whoever is heading this country needs to display leadership, needs to prove leadership. They must work with a small group of people, a cabinet of sorts that is small and will be able to justly represent the various parties, but one that will be able to take this work on. I want to remind you all that Churchill worked underground with a cabinet of 7 people in the Second World War to lead his campaign. We must center and focus on what is really important. People must understand that there is no room for anything else that is irrelevant to this battle, to this war against the coronavirus. The public needs to be given a clear strategy, a clear message. What is the plan? What is the strategy? The public needs to know how to prepare for the future, to be able to take part in this, to be partners, instead of just getting different directives and different instructions each day and losing trust in the entire system. There must be enforcement. Policy alone is meaningless if enforcement is not there, if it's not clear and consistent alongside it. And we must have this done by the organizations that can do it. However, what is most important is to reach a situation whereby each and every citizen can know and realizes that they're being thought of. Instead of having this incitement, we must recreate togetherness. We must explain to everyone and understand and ensure everyone else understands that the only way to overcome this is to work together instead of working against each other, and to recreate what has always united us in the past, protecting each other, being responsible for one another. Those are the things that must lead us, that must be in our sights in order for us to not deteriorate further. This phenomenon can also be found in other societies, and it is very important, therefore, and that's why this conference is important, to deal with the distresses and phenomena that will continue to accompany us because of this world coronavirus pandemic.